Tonight's episode is brought to you by Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, The Dragon's Prophecy. Based on the #1 international bestseller by Jonathan Cahn, The Dragon's Prophecy offers new understanding on Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy. Could it be that the fate of the world, of all of humanity itself, is tied to what we're seeing right now in the Middle East? Streaming and DVDs now available. Go to salemnow.com to watch. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. It's just quite a time, and I have a lot of things I want to say, so I hope you ask me some questions about all the things I want to say. Okay, question number 1, let's start it out. I know you work out like crazy, but what do you do for your recovery? Okay, well, this isn't the exact question that I thought I would get, but I love it because I love a good workout question. So I try to mix up my workouts. You're right, I do work out like crazy, but I try to mix things up so that I'm not doing like back-to-back, same muscle group, same kind of workout day in and day out. So one day I'll do like a weight workout. The next day I might just do like a cardio type of thing, like on my bike. Or I'll do a Pilates class, that sort of thing. And so I try to switch it up. But what I try, my recovery is probably not great. Obviously, sleep is very helpful. I probably don't get quite enough sleep, but I try to rest. You know, whenever I sleep, I'm trying to get that deep sleep and do the best I can. But I do try when I have time to do sauna cold plunge. You probably heard me talk about this. This is something that if you look at sort of the Scandinavian, like Viking type society, and you look at their longevity and their health, etc., what you'll notice is that they're very healthy people overall. And I think part of the reason for that, and what science has sort of proven thus far, is that it's because of what they do with saunas. And they don't per se have a cold plunge. They have, fjords and like the North Sea, and they're dipping into like 40 degree, 35 degree water. So they go back and forth between the hot and the cold, and supposedly that is supposed to be great for you. I do think it helps with recovery. However, I'll caveat this by saying if you do a weight workout, you want to wait like 4 hours before you do a cold plunge, because apparently it negates some of what you have done in your weight workout if you freeze your muscles there immediately. So I try to do that. I would love to say that I get a massage on the regular. However, my time does not generally allow for that. But, for me, recovery is also like a mental type of thing. And so whenever I have some downtime, I'm not watching too much news type stuff. I have to watch news and read news for my life and for my job. And so whenever I get a little downtime, I'm trying to zone out and do something that fully gets me outside of the scope of thinking about any of this stuff. Because sometimes it's really heavy. Sometimes we have a lot of great news as of late, but sometimes it can be very heavy. So I try to read. I try to find kind of shows that have nothing to do with anything else going on. And I feel like it's a good escape. Even if it's for like 15 minutes before I go to bed, I try to like zone out in that way. So those are kind of my tips and tricks. I think if I had more time, I would do more massage type stuff. I've done acupuncture before, which I think is great. Chiropractic, I think, is great if you find the right person. But all those things. And then I also try to fuel my body properly. I try to eat the right foods and try to take supplements and minerals and vitamins that are going to aid my recovery. Actually, this drink right here, it's water, and it's got like an amino acid drink and chlorophyll added to it, because that's all about my recovery. So, we do all the things we can, and hope for the best. All right, next question. Trump Nobel Peace Prize 2026. If it doesn't happen, I don't even know what to say. I mean, the Nobel Peace Prize already has sort of it's gone down the tubes, and it almost has lost. It's so sad that it's sort of lost its luster, and it's lost its meaning. When they awarded it to Barack Obama, who you look back during his tenure as president and look at the wars that were started while he was in office, and you look at I'm still confused as to why he won the Nobel Peace Prize, but I digress. Look at the fact that the winner this year dedicated her prize to President Trump. The Venezuelan opposition leader said, you know what, I got this prize, but I'm going to dedicate this to President Trump. Maria Machado is her name, and she understood that this president has now, as of this past weekend, solved 8 conflicts around the world. One of them being bringing peace to the Middle East. Honestly, I get chills even talking about it, because you look at the fact that when my father-in-law was running in 2016 and in 2020 and in 2024, you heard the same kind of, garbage, quite frankly, spewed out there about him by a lot of people on the left, some people even on the right, people within the mainstream media, the legacy media, all saying, we can't give this guy the nuclear codes. Donald Trump is going to start World War III. What does he know about diplomacy? Remember all of that talk? Well, look at things today, ladies and gentlemen. It's amazing to me because oftentimes, the old adage that, doing the same thing over and over again is insanity and expecting different results, right? We all know that. We've done the same thing over and over again for so long as it relates to foreign policy and the United States. When you have time after time, whether it's Republican or Democrat, people who are part of the military-industrial complex, people who, just appease and try to go around the world with an appeasement strategy, that doesn't work. What works is bringing in somebody different, a different mindset, a different viewpoint, different skill set like President Trump had. And I think you look at what's going on in the Middle East right now, and honestly, I have to give so much credit to, of course, President Trump. Without him, none of this would have happened. But it's because he has this vision to understand that you have to bring in new people. You have to bring in different people who also have a different mindset and viewpoint, like Steve Witkoff, who is a businessman from New York City, like Jared Kushner, another businessman who was, of course, the architect of the Abraham Accords, which were hugely successful and historic during President Trump's first term in office. You bring people in who are going to do things differently, who are going to attack this whole situation differently, and check out the outcome. It's amazing. And a lot of people are eating crow right now who tried to call out Donald Trump for, being some sort of a warmonger or going to start World War III, this, that, and the other. It couldn't be more opposite, and no one on the planet deserves the Nobel Peace Prize more so than President Donald Trump. Now, I've heard from a lot of people, friends of mine, over the weekend especially, who were so touched and so excited about all of this. And then, of course, on Monday, to see these hostages officially returned home to Israel. I have chills even talking about it. It is so incredible. And so many of them said to me, we need to start a new prize. Forget the Nobel Peace Prize. Forget the Nobel Committee. These are all people who obviously know nothing about peace, because you would not find a president of peace more so than President Donald Trump, a person who has brought more conflicts to an end in such a short amount of time as President Donald Trump. The fact that he didn't get it this year, I think, is outrageous. Should he get it next year? Probably so, but it almost doesn't matter. I kind of think that we should start something new and really have people who are subjective and who can look at things and take politics out of it, take personality out of it, and really look at what has happened. You're never going to find another president or another person more deserving who's alive on this planet today than Donald J. Trump. So that's all I have to say about that. Dinesh D'Souza has done it again. His new eye-opening movie, The Dragon's Prophecy, illuminates a 3,000-year-old mystery about Israel, the dark resurrection, and the end of days. The nation of Israel is a resurrected nation, but what if there was going to be a resurrection of another people, an enemy of Israel? After the horrific attack on October 7th, The Dragon's Prophecy offers new understanding on Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy. Could it be that the fate of the world, of all of humanity itself, is tied to what we're seeing right now in the Middle East? Based on the #1 international bestseller by Jonathan Cahn, The Dragon's Prophecy reveals how another realm could be transforming our world as we speak. Don't miss Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, The Dragon's Prophecy. Watch it now or buy the DVD at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com. All right, I really want to get to your next question, but first let me tell you about something I've been using lately, Strong Cell. This is a simple, tasty little daily supplement just a quick 2-ounce sip with clean ingredients and NADH, which is one of those key nutrients that helps your cells stay strong. As we get older, our cells start to slow down, and that leads to feeling tired all the time, maybe that mental haze, or not just being at your best. I found that with Strong Cell, it kind of gives you that little bit of a boost, and it gives your cells a boost. And with everything else, it follows. More steady energy throughout your day, clearer thinking, and just feeling more like yourself again. At the end of the day, all your organs rely on healthy cells to keep things running smoothly. If they're off, you're off. If you're curious, check out TryStrongCell.com to see what it is all about. That's TryStrongCell.com, and you can use my code Lara for 20% off if you decide to give it a try. Next question. Oh, what did you do to celebrate your birthday? Thank you. My birthday was Sunday, October 12th, 29 again. That's right. We were supposed to go down. My husband had this whole plan set up, and we were supposed to go down to see a Chris Stapleton concert at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino down just south of Fort Lauderdale. I think it's in Hollywood, Florida, technically. And Chris Stapleton got sick. I was so bummed. Chris Stapleton, why? I was so excited. I'm such a fan of his. So we had a little group that was already planning to go. We had a little party bus situation. We said, you know what? We could still go down and have fun. So we had a great dinner down there at the Hard Rock, and the food was amazing. And we just had a fun time. We hung out with a group of friends, and honestly, Eric and I are both busy all the time. I feel like we don't take enough time to do stuff like that. And it's funny because when we do kind of relax and hang out with our friends, we're like, oh yeah, this is really fun. This is awesome. That was Saturday night. And then Sunday was my actual birthday. And you know what? It sounds so basic, but I hung out with my kids. I got to go do a nice little Pilates workout in the morning. I took my son to his flag football game, and just got to hang out with my kids and my husband all day. And honestly, I know it sounds so simple and so basic, and we just had sushi at the house for dinner. Perfect day for me. That's all I wanted, to just be around everybody and to relax and have a great time, walk my dogs, those things, the basic things. I feel like whenever life gets crazy sometimes, you just yearn for that, normalcy and the basic stuff. And so great birthday. And I'm blessed. I'm grateful, to have my family around me, my kids, my husband, my dogs. I would have loved for my parents and my brother to be there, but we'll see them soon. We're going to see everybody, I think, for Thanksgiving. So very soon. Anyway, it was a great birthday. Thank you. Next question. Who would you like to see perform at the TPUSA Super Bowl halftime show? First of all, let me give a shout out to Turning Point. When Bad Bunny was announced as the Super Bowl halftime performer, which, by the way, I know a lot of owners of a lot of NFL teams, a lot of people are upset about that. I don't know what the heck the NFL was thinking with this one, but I can tell you there are a lot of people who are not happy about it. And so Turning Point was like, you know what? We're going to do our own thing. We'll have our own halftime show. We don't need Bad Bunny or any of these people. Who would I like to see perform? Tom McDonald, 100%. I think I talked about him last time. We did a Q&A episode, I believe, last week. I said I'd like to perform on stage with him, do a little karaoke sesh. Absolutely. I think he's awesome. I would love to see that happen. I think that, well, by the way, maybe Chris Stapleton wants to perform at the Turning Point USA halftime show. I think that could be amazing as well because, listen, he rescheduled the concert he was supposed to have for my birthday. He rescheduled it for a day that I'm going to be overseas for something. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make that. So I would say maybe we do that. Chris Jansen, I don't know if you're familiar with him. Great guy. He performed for us at a St. Jude event we recently had. I think he's awesome. Loves this country. I'm all about that. I feel like we have a lot of great people who we could add into this. I haven't really thought about it. This is the first I've thought about it with this question. But you know what? You can throw Lara Trump in there. Yeah, that's right. Imagine how upset people on the left would be if something like that happened. It sort of makes me want to offer myself up. I have not been asked, but I'm going to offer it right now. So let's see what happens. The great news is we don't need the NFL. We don't need any of these woke losers to perform. We can have our own performance. So shout out to Turning Point for coming up with their own halftime show. I love it. All right, next question. Ooh, what's your husband's favorite meal? Well, he does love sushi. So whenever we eat at home, we pretty much have like the exact same sushi order all the time. I know, but it's so good. We both love sushi. His perfect meal and his favorite meal, I'm going to say steak. He loves a steak, sweet potato, asparagus. If he's not, on one of his full-blown health kicks, which I feel like he is all the time, which is a good thing. He loves to get down with like a nice, bread yeast roll situation. There's a restaurant here in Florida that we go to, and their rolls are absolutely addictive. Amazing. 1000 North is the name of it. If you've been there, amazing bread situation. Hard for me to stay away. And then, dessert wise, I don't know. He can get down on a lot of stuff. I think he loves a good cheesecake. I would say is probably his favorite. But yeah, he's a steak guy. This is basic stuff. And don't kid yourself. Eric he'll be on one of these health kicks, and then I'll maybe order like a side of fries, and like he's not going to touch it. He ends up eating most of the fries. I think a lot of guys do that. And I mean, maybe your significant other is guilty of ordering the fries as well. But I don't want them all. I just want a small taste. And then I got a helper to help me finish them off. So it all works out for us. But if we're going to do like a meal at home, almost always I'll get a steak for Eric. I'll get like a piece of salmon for me. We'll grill it out. We'll cook some sweet potatoes, asparagus, good stuff. And by the way, I think I've talked about this before on this show. Eric Trump can make a mean balsamic vinaigrette. Absolutely. I'm not even joking. I just leave him in charge of the salad dressing. Whatever. You throw some greens together, and he's like, don't even worry about the dressing. He's got it. He's got it down to a science. And I'm telling you, don't sleep on that. Maybe that's the next venture. We can have like some Trump salad dressings, and Eric will take us to the promised land, I think. Okay, final question. How can you stand to wear high heels all the time? Well, I don't wear them all the time. I'm not wearing them right now because y'all can't see my feet, so it doesn't matter. But look, let's be really honest. Sometimes we got to do things that look good, even though they don't feel great, okay? You want to look cute, and I hate to say it, a heel, I'm tall, I'm 5'11". Do I need a heel for the height? Absolutely not. What I do need a heel for is for elongating my leg. Imagine I'm out there wearing like a dress to a nice event, like an event I'm going to speak at for one of my interviews or something, right? And I have on a flat shoe. No, it's not going to work out. Your leg looks stumpy. It looks bad. I hate to say it. I wear it because I think it looks good. I don't love wearing them all the time, but you do kind of get used to wearing them. And what you find as a woman, and maybe all the ladies out there can share in this, is that whenever you get used to, you find one that like works for you, and then you get them in all the colors, right? Because I have this one brand and one model that seems to feel the most comfortable for me. I try to get it in all of them. And you break them in, you break a heel in. But yeah, it's not perfect, but we're trying to be cute. We're trying to look good out here. Still trying to present myself. What you'll notice oftentimes, they say, oh, conservative women are much better looking than liberal women. Yeah, I'm going to say most of the time. I'm not out there, with hairy armpits and purple hair and trying to just like be comfortable all the time. I'm trying to look cute too. And that's for me. That's for nobody else but me. So don't kid yourself on that. But yeah, a heel's okay. No shade on that. All right, that's going to do it for us for this episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. Thank you for these questions. Please send us more under this episode or any of our social media. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning.